How do our genetics influence our health and well-being?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, what is a SNP? A SNP or SNP, SNP is just a way of saying it. It could be snap or snop, but we call it SNP. An SNP is a single nucleotide polymorphism. Now, two of those words should be familiar now, right? Single, we know what that means. It means one, not several. And nucleotide, we've just talked about, right? So we talked about the 4 nucleotides, right? These are the letters in this 4-letter alphabet that all the instructions are coded in. And so polymorphism, what is that? That's the only one we haven't come across yet. So polymorphism is basically a variant. That's the other term that's often used for it. And another way of putting it would be a mutation. So let's look at the dictionary definition and I'll explain it more fully. So SNP is a variation in a single nucleotide within a gene. Again, single, because otherwise it wouldn't be a SNP, it would be a MNP, I guess, many nucleotide polymorphism. So a variation in a single nucleotide within a gene. Now, again, don't get overwhelmed with those words. What does that mean, a nucleotide? So a gene is just, like any book with, it's just a string of letters tied together, right? So a gene is just a string of nucleotides tied together. What are nucleotides? They're just letters, right? A, C, T, H. So that maybe the way that the sequence should run is A, T, T, A, T. But instead it runs A, T, T, C, T. And you're like, oh, what's happened there? One of them is different. And so that's what's called a single polymorphism, because it's just one off. Otherwise, it's all the same, right? And that little thing can account for all of these variations, like the ones we talked about earlier, like the skin color and the hair color. Now, not always. Often there's several SNPs which will contribute to a situation. It isn't always as simple as one, but we tend to look at them one at a time. So that's why we look at one SNP at a time. So anyway, I'll go back to the definition. SNPs can have a variety of effects, including changing the function of a gene or its gene product, or alternating the expression of a gene. So let me just go into that. Let's say that you let me drive your car, and then I said, okay, Chrissy, I'm going to go and park your car. You'd probably be quite happy with that. But if I said, I'm going to go and mark your car, you'd be like, huh? You're going to mark it? What's that? Why would you do that? What are you going to mark it with? You're going to, you know what I mean? Like straight away. So one would be, oh, great. One of them would be, what? So, I mean, it's a silly example, but, there's so many examples where just changing one letter, I can think of rude examples, but that was the most tame one I could think of, has a profound impact on the meaning of what you're saying. And so similarly, just changing one letter in the DNA in the DNA sequence has the genome, as it's often referred to, has a profound impact on the meaning of that instruction and therefore what actually happens as a result. And this is where things like eye color can be different, but this is where your chances for disease risk can be different. This is where your nutritional needs for a specific mineral or vitamin or protein, amino acid or fat can be different. This is where a personality trait can be different. This is when your capacity to deal with stress can be different. This is where your tendency towards depression or ability to overcome trauma or chances of having an allergy or an intolerance. I mean, it's not endless, but there's a lot. There's so many that I could spend much of this episode just listing them. Genetic Insights, we have over 250 currently, still expanding. And the reality is that there are probably millions of factors that are heavily influenced or to some degree or another by these SNPs, by these single variations in the gene that would seem quite innocuous, because often it's a very, very long row of information, of code. I guess that's another way of looking at it, of instructions, and it's just one variation. You wouldn't even be able to spot it. Those kind of where they give you two different pictures and they spot the difference, and you can't even tell because they're almost identical. So you would not be able to tell probably unless you're very, very good at those games, and yet it will completely change your resilience to stress, or your eye color, or your level of a hormone, which has a profound impact on your appearance and how you feel and how long you live. I mean, these are huge things that are down to such a small thing. It's quite incredible. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Rejuvenate podcast. If you want to watch the full episode that came from, just click on the link above. Or if you just want to watch our latest video, then click the link below. And make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you.